Mr. Gallagher.
One last thing. If you look at your backups on the second page of C1, the cost reduction analysis with the overhead canopy eliminated from the engineer's estimate to the Continental Construction Company, the engineer's estimate comes in at $152,148. Yet with Continental Construction Company, they've left in the structural steel for the canopy column, canopy beam, canopy arch, all the different assembly for that particular canopy. That's an additional $50,000. So is that a mistake, or should that be more like $126,000 from Continental Construction Company? Because if you are, as the particular spreadsheet asks or says here, overhead canopy eliminated, wouldn't that $50,000 come off of that?
I think that's a mistake.
So that's a mistake.
Yeah.
So now we're down to $126,000, which is even below the engineer's estimate. My question then would be, from an engineering standpoint, do we need to have the structural steel inside of this pedestrian pass-through for some type of support of these two different buildings, for these two different owners of these buildings on each side? Is that necessary?
And I understand your question, not to have the supports, but connect to the...
No, I'm just simply saying, do we don't, these two buildings that are remaining there between,
Right.
that are on each side,
Right.
right? They don't need any type of support from us at all?
No.
They're
no.
just standalone buildings right now?
They're standalone buildings. They would remain as is. This is an independent structure that essentially sits right in it, not attached whatsoever to the building.
Right, so all of a sudden now, we have Continental Construction Company, which has come back with a bid over here. They've kept in a $50,000 charge when they've gone back over here and didn't even look at their numbers close enough to understand that when we're going to eliminate that canopy, that number needs to come out, which will be closer to the $126,000 that we had discussed back on August 10th, right? So their attention to detail right now is, you know, a little lax in this particular situation. Again, it goes back to my initial question, which is, let's rebid this and go out and ask for a simple first option,
Let me,
right?
Joel, respond to Mr. Gallagher on this point to make sure that we've got this correct.
Continental Construction isn't involved in providing the spreadsheet of the prices on the C1 attachment. It was our downtown consultant Hitchcock Design Group, just using the unit numbers and extending over. They must have made, as you suggest, a judgment and a wrong judgment on the need for the structural steel, although they probably should have left in the cast-in-place concrete, because you can't retrofit later to put a canopy on the open walkway unless you have the supporting piers available, which would be hard to do after you have the walkway in place.
And also, you got to remember they talked about the rails, the guardrails, that you still needed structural
Still need
support
those
for the guardrails, so I imagine there's some offsetting.
Regardless, that's an additional $32,000. So that drops it down below then, down to, now we're getting down to about $144,000 if that's the case. Again, as these continue to start to pop up, right, I don't want to just blindly just go ahead and say, yeah, let's just do it, right? If we can just, if I can find one mistake like this, just looking over this just for a little bit here, I'd hate to, you know, rush ahead with anything. So we probably would be better service to maybe go back out, rebid this again, and start it down with brass tacks, which is option one, just a pedestrian pass-through, just a particular sidewalk with handrails and everything, and then move on from there. Because back over here, when you look at the original letter from Hitchcock Design Group, you know, they did mention that approximately $176,000. So if that's wrong, then we need to get that adjusted. But these are those little details that I don't want to see pop up again.
Other comments?